Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be showing you some tips and tricks on how to use your PDF documents that we have put into Google Slides to be something that the kids can manipulate and edit in Classroom, how you can use that to your advantage with different types of documents. So last time I showed you documents where the kids would type in, and that's not always realistic, especially for primary learners or maybe in math. And so there are some ways that you can still use the tools in Google Slides with your PDFs to make them workable digitally for your students at home. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is using shapes as a counter. And if you went to, Renee and I did a Google training the day we left for distance learning in May or March. We kind of did some, I showed you guys something similar to this. This might be a refresher for some of you, but what I've done is I have this worksheet. Make it a little bit, zoom in a little bit. I have this counting worksheet where you're supposed to, the kids are supposed to put shapes or X's in the boxes, or color in the boxes for the number that's in the basket. Now, what we could do, so what we could do is give them shapes to utilize. And this would be great when they have the iPads, especially because they can use their fingers to move it around. But even on a Chromebook, they could still do it fairly easily. So we can do shapes. Now, you could do a circle, which is what I had. If you want to keep I'm not a math teacher. If it needs to be a square for like pedagogical reasons, you can do that. Make it a square that's going to fit in the box. Maybe make it red because we're sorting apples here. Maybe you want to make it an apple, and so you could actually go to Google and let me share my screen again. It X'd out of it for a second. You could actually go to Google and you can search for, remember, a PNG doesn't have a background, so that's kind of neat for these counter type things, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a PNG. Notice, this is the image that I picked, but notice here in like the smaller thumbnail, it's white in the background, but when I click on it, it's got that checkerboard. That means it's a PNG and there won't be a white box around it when I put it in my document. So I'm going to come back to my document and I searched Apple PNG. And I'm going to go to insert image, upload from computer. There's my apple, so I'm going to bring it in. And oh, it's giant. I'm going to size it down. Make it so it fits in one of my little boxes here. Okay, and so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press Command D to duplicate it. So I'm going to do that 9 times. So I have 10 total apples. So because I got my one already. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now I got my 10 apples. I'm going to click and drag, select all of them. And then I'm going to 2-finger click or right click if you're on a mouse or a PC laptop. And I'm going to go to distribute. I'm going to go to align vertically and go to middle. And then I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to go align horizontally center. And now I got a stack. My apples are stacked. And because I have done all of them, I've highlighted all of them, I can move them as a group. And now what I can do is duplicate that as a group. So I can go Command D. Now I got 10 apples in this stack too. And I got 10 apples in this stack too. And I can highlight all 4 of those groups, duplicate again, move that down here to these apples, and look at that. I've copied all of that and done all that work in a minute. And each one of these, now the kids can go in when they edit it, and they can move the apples to the boxes. So that's something that you can do when you would normally have the kids color this in class, or use stickers or candy or whatever the manipulative is. You could still have something cute and fun digitally with your students with something like this. So that's one idea. Another thing that we might do is use shapes to classify. So maybe instead of having them type anything, you are giving them the tools to then like highlight or circle things without having them draw or do anything like that on the document. So here's one. So I have a list of nouns. I've given a key here. Red is people, green is places, blue is things. And then I've given them enough circles here to be able to, oh, I'm in a version thing, weird. To be able to then move it around. And so all I did was up here is in shapes, and I did a circle, and whoop, and then I changed the background to transparent and the color to red. And now I have, ooh, and I need to make it a little thicker. And so now I have my circles, and then I leave that for them, and then they can go in and edit it. And then another tip is that if you are not planning on having this as something that's printed, so like if everybody in the class is going to get this digital copy, or if you know that the kids in class are going to get a paper copy, but you're expecting them to use markers or something, and you're not planning on printing something from this document, what you will do, or what you can use, is this gray area on the outside. So you can put stuff there, and then when the kids open it in classroom, all of this stuff here is still there. I've seen some, and I actually stole this idea for when I set up summer reading for the middle school, to put videos there. So you actually post the videos on the side here, and the kids can watch the videos in the document without actually pasting it onto the white page, and they can manipulate the document where you've put your instructions or your tutorial video in the gray area. So the gray area is usable if you need it, to kind of store the things that you want them to sort. Now, here's something that's a little more time consuming, but I think it pays off in the end. And there's a couple ways to do this. So this is a cut and paste. If you have a cut and paste, you can still do it. Unfortunately, you have to do the cutting digitally or make new text boxes. So there's a couple ways that I did this to show as an example. So what I've done is this is my document here, and I imported it as the background just the same as I've showed you before. And then I brought in just the normal JPEG without it being the background. So I just went to insert and then found that same exact image and imported it. And I turned it blue just so you could see the difference, that this is the one that's movable, but you wouldn't want to do that really. But so what I did was I have this, and then you can duplicate that. And then up here, there's a crop tool, and you can come down and crop each one of the little boxes that you'd want them to move around. And now I have this, and I can put it over that, and then they can then go in and move it. Now, if it's just something like words, you could even just do like here. So I did my own text box. So this is just, I put in a text box and typed in wouldn't, and then formatted it to kind of look cuter. And then you could do it that way too, and then you would leave the text boxes down here, and then, or the images that you cut or cropped down here, and then they can then move them around. They can move them around, that's wrong, when they are ready. So that's something that you can do. Another thing is here's some other examples of that. So here's one where I did this exact same thing, but with shapes. So honestly, this is less work cutting it up like that, like I just showed you, than going to Google Images and finding all these images again and bringing them in. So it's easy enough to just cut it. Now, what I recommend is bringing the image in once and then duplicating it, or copy and paste, so that way you don't have to keep going to like insert image. Here's a shortcut on the toolbar up here too. If you want to it's the mountain, kind of mountain square thing is a universal open image button. So if you have this and you can crop it, you end up with your stack over here, and you can arrange them if you want, or you could put them again, you can highlight the whole thing and then go to two finger click or a right finger click and go to middle and horizontal center. And then now what I can do when I go in as a student, I can look at this first one, and that's a chair, so that goes there. Okay, that's, chopping, and so on. And so they can sort it like that. And again, you can even put a text box over here, maybe with instructions. Okay, so that's one thing. Here's another one. Here's a map of the US. Now, typing out all the states might be tedious, but what you could do is do something like a map where you give them all of the things that you want them to label the map with, instead of them making the text boxes themselves, or you putting in a blank text box for each state and having them type it. You could go ahead and have it, or whatever. I mean, this is just an example. And then they can, when they go in and edit it, be honest, this is Arizona. And then when they go in, they can put in the text boxes that you've created and manipulate them and move them around that image. So you can still do map work. You can still do cut and paste work. You can still do classifying work. All of this is in Google Slides. There are, in the next video, I'm going to show you Jamboard, which is a way to actually have them draw on something like a map, or one of these, classifying things. But this is one way to do it in Slides. So that is that, and I will see you for our Jamboard tutorial next.